Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. You might have to face the fact in your hijrah that you might have to be nomadic. And I know that's not the perfect solution, and it's not the perfect situation that we were looking to get into when we thought about making hijrah, but things have really changed since the last time um, we entered this venue of hijrah. Societies are becoming more localized. Countries want more work for their citizens. There is a reducage due to a lot of things, such as human rights violations, pay scales, living conditions, uprisings due to poverty or due to high rates of unemployment, homelessness, and so forth that are making hijrah for foreign people a more difficult task. You might have to face the fact that you're going to have to be nomadic for a while until you find that one country that you can actually settle in. And so a few things are going to have to take place in order for you to do that. But let me explain to you what I mean by nomadic. You might wind up being in one country for 3 or 4, 5, 6 months, depending on what the visa will allow you for your maximum stay at one time. And then you might have to shift to another country and live there for 5 or 6 months. You might have to include your home country as what I call a home base. And your home base is just where you come and collect yourself. So let's say you went to let's just say you went to Saudi Arabia, okay? And you were able to get into Saudi Arabia, you got your visit visa, and you said, okay, I'm going to sit here for a while. I've got an independent source of income or secondary source of income, or you work online or remote, or you sell things, you have a business, whatever your means for survival is. That's going to sustain you there so that you don't have to compete with the local economy. Okay. But it's not enough for you to get a visa because maybe you don't have qualifications or degrees or certifications or anything like that. So you say, okay, I can sit here for 6 months. After 6 months, I can go back and collect myself at my home base. Okay. Because I know that, for example, I have a job there that I can go to that I can grind for about 6 months, build up some extra cash, and I can shoot back out. You might have to do that for a while, and you have to face that fact. Things are changing now, and we see if you do the same thing, you get the same results, but that's not always the case. It's not always the case. So you may have to play this nomadic card until you can get yourself to a situation where you have something permanent. You also may have to face the fact that temporarily you might have to do this by yourself for a while until your family can join you. You have to keep a few things in mind. If a company hires you, the things that come with that company are for you: housing, medical, transportation, flights, you know, all the things that come with hiring a foreign worker, making sure they get settled in and making sure they are comfortable, and along with abiding with the laws of the land in terms of bringing in foreign labor. That does not apply to your family. That does not apply to your family. So you know your company is not hiring your family; they're hiring you. So I see a lot of people, they say, well, I want to be able to bring my family. Is there a place where a company where I can, get hired and they can give my family a visa, or they can, allow me to bring my family. You got to remember, first of all, you were the one that made the application. You were the one who applied for the job, for the position. It was your credentials they looked at and your experience and so forth. So they're hiring you. So either one of two scenarios is going to happen, or one of a few scenarios could happen. They bring you, they pay for you, and then they will allow you a certain allowance in terms of what they will give to your family, what they will extend to your family. That could be something like they may pay the ticket for your spouse, the return trip and ticket for your spouse, just like for you, but you are responsible for your children. Or that could be that your family gets your whole family gets the tickets. If it's a really good company, your family gets the tickets, and they will offer tuition, right? So they will offer tuition up to 50% off for the first two children or three children, or children up to a certain age. These are generally the mixtures of how this works. If they're going to extend some kind of perk to your family, it really depends on how much experience you have and how much they need you. How much experience you have and how much they need you. If they really, really need you, they're going to be more willing to bend and accommodate you. Okay, but if you're not feeling a dire position, if we needed, for example, 12 teachers and we only have 11, but we could do it with 12, we could do it with 11, but it will be a strain on the other teachers. We don't really need you. We need you, but it's not dire. We don't have to have you. We can struggle until we find somebody to fill your position. But if if that 12th teacher is an English teacher and there's no English teachers there, now we need you. Okay. And you really don't know that situation coming in. Only the employer knows that. The recruiter doesn't know. He just knows that they need 12 teachers. You're the 12th teacher. Or the other scenario is that they may not include anything for your family. So you have to budget that. You're going to have to put in your budget for that, for extra plane tickets, extra visas, extra insurance cards, extra flights, the tickets, the tickets for the cost of the flight. You might have to include those things in your budget so that you can move your family back and forth. That is something that you're going to have to consider. So you have to be willing to take that chance, or be willing to accept that responsibility, because every place is not going to be as accommodating to you and your family. They didn't hire your family, they hired you. Okay. You might have to accept the fact that this might be a short-term contract. So you might find a nice job, but it's a 6-month short-term contract. For example, and I'll talk about what I know, the language institutes. Most of the time, language institutes are not contractual. And if they are contractual, it's a short-term contract, 3 months, maybe 6 months. Okay. Language institutes are primarily part-time work for people who are already in the country. Okay, so you already have a situation with your employer, you're under contract, and you are working. And then this is just a side gig at night for a couple of hours every night. And the reason why they're part-time like that is because language centers don't fall under the category of regular schools, traditional schools. And so they have a hodgepodge, a mixture of different kinds of students on different kinds of levels and different age groups. So it's not strange at all. When I taught in Berlin's Academy in Riyadh, I had adults in my class. I had one adult, I'll call him a young adult, 18, 19 years old. And then I had kids in my class. I had 12-year-olds, I had 10-year-olds, I had maybe even a 9-year-old in my class, and then one class I had a guy I had a couple of businessmen in my class, and then I had some young guys who were like not unemployed, but they were taking English to better their skills, make themselves more marketable. So the level of those students was really, really different. I had students who could hardly read, even though they passed the entrance exam, and that could be another video in itself. Even though they passed the entrance exam, they could probably read, but their understanding, their comprehension wasn't really the same. And none of their levels were the same. So I had to kind of accommodate all of those different levels and modify a lot of my lessons to fit the level, to fit the level that everybody could participate in the class without making 4 or 5 different lesson plans and so forth, just to give you an idea. The other thing about language centers is that they are student driven, which means that according to the number of students that sign up, that's when you get the class. So even if it's just one student, okay, but if there's no student, if there are no students, there's no class. If there's no class, there's no work. Okay, so they don't fall under the traditional category of that. Now, a school might be very popular, and so by their experience and being there for a while, they know, okay, we're going to be busy with students on a regular basis between this month to this month, and that's where your short-term contracts come in. So we know we're going to be busy with students from September to say March. Okay, and then in March you got your spring break and all these other things, and people drop off. You got exams and things like that in the regular schools. So everything drops off. So that drop off of 6 months is where you'll stop. So don't go in trying to get comfortable on a 6-month contract, hoping they'll extend you, because in most cases, it's 3 to 6 months. That's all you're going to do. The other thing about that is that the salaries aren't that good. Okay, because you're talking about basically part-time work. It's full-time job with part-time hours. And typically language institutes are running about 2 hours, maybe 3 hours a night, depending on what you're teaching. And depending on the language institution themselves. So I just gave that as an example that in 6 months' time, you might have to go ahead and pack back up and go ahead and shoot back to your home base and wait until the next thing comes up. So it might be 6 months. So you go from September to March. Okay. You didn't give up your apartment. You didn't put everything in storage. You didn't sell everything and just kind of shot out with your family. Okay. You were prudent. You were wise. You had some wisdom. You had some hikmah. And you said, you know what? This is a 6-month contract. Let me, before I, as they say, throw the baby out with the bathwater, before I do that, let me make sure that I can do this 6 months, because you might sell everything that you got and you're ready to make Hijrah. You got this company in 6 months and you have decided you're going to dig your heels in and grind it out. And you get there and it is not what they promised you at all. It's not what the job description was at all. You're doing things that have nothing to do with your job description, or it's more than what they said in the job description. Okay, or the pay is different. There's something about the contract. Maybe the organizational skills of the environment are just bad. At that point, you got to make a decision. Am I going to stay and just dig it out and just dig my heels in and just say, okay, fine, I'm going to grind it out, and at the end of the 6 months I go? Or are you going to say, you know what, this is bad, I'm leaving? You got to think about that. Now, if you're leaving, where are you going? Where are you going? If you have your home base still intact, you say, you know what, let me get out of here. I'm gone. I'm going to go back home. I'm going to regroup, or I'll use this 6 months while I'm here to canvas the land, because I'm already here now. I'm already here. So let me go ahead and move around. I have mobility now. I can move around to different places. I can go to different areas. I can ask about, different opportunities that are not available on the internet. I can talk to fellow teachers. Where are you working at? Oh, I work at such and such. Oh, yeah, where's that located? Okay, that's on so and so such a street, exit such and such. Okay, and then you start making a little route so that in your off hours, before and after you go in, you can go by these places, throw your application in, and it's a good thing if you can say, I'm currently working at XYZ Language Institute. Okay, cool. He's already here. He's got some experience. He's dealing with the people. He's already here. He's in country. Okay. But it may not work out, or it may work out. It's 6 months. You didn't find anything though. So from March to September is dead. You like the place, right? So you got to come back home. You come back home, you start grinding your regular grind, you save your money back up, and then you shoot back out. You might have to make some adjustments in the way you approach this Hijrah. And this is really what it's looking like. This is really what it's looking like, because a lot of countries don't want to hire local people, or rather foreign workers anymore, because there's problems when you do that now. There are national problems within the country of unrest. People are angry. People are upset. People don't have money. They don't have food. They don't have a way to take care of themselves. They're angry and they're blaming the government. And by proxy, you fall in the government's midst, because the government is allowing the foreign workers to come in. So they're angry at the government and they're angry at you for taking a spot that they feel like you took their spot. So it's not as easy as it was before, you guys. It's not as easy as it was of just submitting an application, put your qualifications in there, your related experience, have a Skype interview, and then you're on. It's not like that anymore. Things have really, really changed. And there are countries who really want to preserve I won't say the bloodline, but they want to preserve the nationality of their countries. So for them, giving a passport or giving citizenship is to the people who were born in that land, and that is what you are as a nation or as a nationality. So for example, if you're in Bahrain, a Bahraini, anyone who has a Bahraini passport should be Bahraini. Okay, he should have some Bahraini in his family, someone. His mother might be Bahraini, but his father's from wherever, or vice versa, or his grandparents, like they do in Kuwait, right? They have different kinds of identification cards for you, depending on what kind of, depending on if you have anybody from Kuwait in your lineage, okay, or if you have any Arabs in your lineage and so forth. It's not like America and Canada where you can sit for 5 years, take a test, and then get citizenship. This is not the same kind of situation. It's not the same. So the countries are doing things differently, and we have to respect that. We have to respect that, because if the tables were turned in our country and there was no work because all the foreign people who our country has opened their arms to and said, "Come over here, we'll take you." Wherever country you hail from, you're a refugee, you're coming over here to start a new life, we'll take you. Come, come. And now they come and they've taken all the jobs, and you who have lived here your entire life, went to school, did the bid, you did everything that you were supposed to do. You're ready to take your place in the society, and there's nothing there for you. All those doors are closed by somebody who didn't even grow up here. He just got here 5 years ago. He just got here 6 years ago. He literally just got off the plane and had a job waiting for him. You have to understand that, you have to respect that is something that's going to cause a problem. So you have to respect the fact that a country is going to say, hey, we have to do what's in the best interest of the country and for our citizens so that we can preserve life, limb, and property. So you're going to have to be nomadic for a while. You may have to do that. You're going to have to face that. If you try to force the situation where you're trying to put a square peg in a round hole, and you're going to force yourself to find a situation where the country's going to accept you and accept your family and give your family a visa and allow visitation and give you a 1 year, 2 year contract, and you're going to stay there and raise your grandkids and get citizenship, you pipe dreaming. You're pipe dreaming. You're pipe dreaming, because that's probably not going to happen in today's climate. Or it may happen, but it may happen later on than what you anticipated and what you would like to have had happen. So you got to be able to face that and say, okay, until such time, I'll maintain a home base. This is where I'm going to come back to. I live in Chicago. Okay, I'm not going to sell the house in Chicago. I'm going to keep my apartment. I'm going to keep all my stuff. Okay. Of course, I'll shut off all the electricity. I'll empty out the fridge. I'll cut off the water. So I'm not accruing any kind of bills. I just have to worry about paying my rent. You have to budget properly. Okay. How am I going to maintain this place and rent? So you might have to grind up about 5 or 6 months of rent. Pay that in advance, and then you can go ahead and shoot out. Until you find that place that says, hey, we need you long term. We've seen what you've been doing. We are really impressed. A lot of times, depending on how you are, positions come up that the company makes for you. Okay, we made this position. We need somebody who can do such and such and such. We're going to create this position and put you at the head of it, since you seem to have the most experience and we've been observing you. It happens like that. It happened to me. Okay, it happens like that. So you wind up getting a position that was created, tailor-made for you. Now that's a long-term situation. Now you can say, okay, fine. Then you can negotiate, right? Okay, I'm going to need, some stability in this contract. I need at least a year, 2 years, and be here for a while, and then when you get in there, you really shine. You do your thing and you really shine and go, wow, there is nobody else for this position except for Fatima. There is nobody else for this position except for Abdullah. Now, when you've gotten comfortable and you've been there a year or two, you've been through the cycle with the return tickets, and you've been back and forth, and you have survived the indoctrination process, and you've gotten over the culture shock, because there's company culture shock, and then there's also culture shock in the country, the host country that you're in. Now you can say, okay, I think this is going to be a settling point. I can go ahead and get rid of everything in terms of liquidating my property, but you still want to maintain a home base. As in, I'm not going to give up my passport. I'm not going to denounce my citizenship. I might need this at any given point. So I will maintain this. So if I ever do need it, I may never need it, but if I ever do need it, it's there. Do me a favor before I go any further. Please hit the like button for the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for the notifications so you know when we post new videos. So accepting the fact that you might have a home base, need a home base temporarily, and that might be for 6 months to a year, maybe even 2 years. Accept that fact and then make the adjustments in terms of your budget, in terms of your mentality, in terms of your thinking, your expectations, what you want. Okay. And then when you strike out to do this thing, you have some realistic expectations from them. That is from the people that you're going to, from the country that you're migrating to. So that's it. I just want to put this video out. I hope it wasn't too long. Again, like and subscribe and share. It lets other people know the things that you face, the challenges that you face that we're all going to start facing during this Hijrah journey. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.